All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. We're back to the podcast. It's been a long time. We haven't done one since, I think it was November. It's been a freaking long time. This episode was brought to you by Skillshare. You can use my link, skl.sh/moderndayjames, to get all the knowledge bombs to your brain. You are going to learn so much information if you actually do the work. If you don't, you're not going to learn a damn thing. It's also brought to you by my patrons on patreon.com/moderndayjames. Get some art education. Go on there. Learn some stuff. It'll be a great time. And it's also brought to you by Jeff Bezos, the monster, at Audible. You can use my link, audibletrial.com/moderndayjames, and help ruin society. I'm joined here by some new people today. We have the new gang. There's John Clamps, and Scott's actually behind camera. You can't see him right now, but we're here with a group of people. I'm trying to get you on camera. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Start with Clamps.
Hey, what's going on, guys? You know me from the occasional stream appearance.
Yeah.
I do data science. I suffer a little bit. Gonna move on to John now. Johnny boy.
Wait, you suffer a little bit? What was that?
Yeah, I suffer just a little bit.
He's suffering quite a bit. All right.
I concur. I also suffer a little bit. But yes, I'm John. I'm a friend of Andrew's and James's and the family.
And now me.
And
and
now Scott.
And now
We're
Scott.
friends now too.
And to be honest, we all suffer just a little bit if we
Yeah.
really think about it, you know?
Yeah,
I
it's
think that's
undeniable.
I think that's the name of this podcast, or the theme of this podcast, is that life is just a little bit of suffering
Yeah.
here and there.
I think that's just
Pure suffering.
Yeah, pure suffering. Off to camera right, or whatever direction that is. It's my right. I don't know what direction it is for you guys. That's our friend Scott. You can move around or something if you want
Yeah, if you
to
wanna-
get in the camera.
Jump in front of
Oh, we have a hand.
Don't break the camera though. You are. Don't move around too much. You're gonna move the camera.
camera's really enjoying
Scratch
its
that.
movement.
All right. So I wanted to start us off by talking about what I got really obsessed with last night for the dumbest reason. I got really into, like, you ever, as creative people, we all make shit. You ever get into a point where there's like something that you really don't need to spend any time doing, and then you just invest way too much time into it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much my video game experience.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You have just gone through all the Dark Souls. I don't know if that's, well, you're streaming. You are creating a lot of content.
I've started doing Bloodborne streams with my 5 followers.
Well, that's pretty great, man. I hope that's working out well for you. For me, I got really obsessed with making a Settlers of Catan interface for our live streams that we're going to do on Twitch, and I started getting to the point where I was programming in JavaScript, and that's how you know that
Something went wrong.
something went wrong. I have no knowledge of programming. I should not have been doing it. It was just,
But it's all right. It's a cool endeavor. It's just till 4:30.
it was, I did it till 4:30 in the morning, and it was just crazy.
I feel like you've been getting better at going to sleep not at those hours.
I've been pretty good lately about sleeping,
like you've been ditching the 7 a.m.s for like the, I don't know, like midnights now.
but, oh man.
Well, do you generally stay up that late? Is that
I was staying up that late for a while. Like when I first got started, I was staying up till like 5 in the morning. I would do these like crazy things where I'd stay up for 2 days and then sleep for an entire day.
But there was also like what made it worse was you would pull like an all-nighter sometimes, and then your dad would be like, "Oh, do some construction with me," and you'd be like, "I guess so."
There was a period in time where that was happening. I do want to say that we are drinking some lovely mead that is brought to us by John's girlfriend. She's not a sponsor of the show, but if we can bottle this and distribute that would be really awesome.
Well, I'll let her know that it's so well received.
Yeah.
Andrew's just drinking water. He's not in.
Yeah, I'm an
He's not.
H2O man.
I think I do need a refill. I mean, maybe it's bad that we're shilling alcoholism to children, but
I hope we're not. I mean,
well,
drink responsibly and of legal age.
So we had a really important conversation the other day that I think the public needs to hear about. It was about Siamese twins, and then I'm not.
I was not there
I'm-
for this.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
you weren't there for this,
Car
Scott.
driving over from Guitar Center.
Yeah,
That's where all the best conversations about Siamese twins happen.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Of course.
I mean, now
Guitar Center is inspiring.
I'm no expert in this, but what was the topic of our conversation? Can you remind me, Andrew? 'Cause-
I don't know if I recall. I had a troll in my stream the other night who was talking about Siamese twins.
what were they saying?
They They were asking if it's incest if you're a Siamese twin and you jerk your brother off. That's what they were asking.
Let's pick that apart. So Siamese twins.
Interesting.
Let's pick it
Yeah.
apart because Siamese twins.
Philosophical
This is a good way to start off the new group. The terminology is Siamese twins, which would imply that they are two different individuals, right? And if they are they thinking with two different minds?
Assumably, but you know,
Yes.
you can have
Assumably.
Well, you can have those.
not
Okay,
a
yeah,
word.
they probably are.
It's
But so
now.
you have those Siamese twins that are like maybe like attached and they share the same like this lower area,
intestines.
right?
There are degrees of conjoinedment.
But yes,
Conjoinedment.
We're just-
assumably they have different minds.
Is this an
different minds.
English podcast? Because we keep making up words that are not in the English.
That is the beauty of the English language.
It's very
Nobody-
flexible.
Like Shakespeare was just making up words left and right. Nobody called him on it.
That's a very good point. But
It's an
but
innovative podcast.
it is very innovative. But my question is, like, okay, so the question was if he's sleeping with his twin conjoined brother or sister.
Okay.
Now, is that incest? I think it is. I'm going to argue that it is because they are two separate minds and they have to agree to do something. They're not one singular mind. They're not like bees or something where they're
Right.
they're not communicating via pheromones.
Yeah,
as far as I can tell.
I am on that page, but I think it still I think depends on how they're connected.
Where do pheromones come into play? Why are pheromones even a question?
Well, hold on. So pheromones are a question for a very important reason because pheromones they enable bees and insects to almost act like one organism. They kind of act like
Okay.
a single cell
All right.
organism. So what I was saying is, as far as I can tell, Siamese twins are not communicating via pheromones,
They are
which
not
they
a
might
hive
be.
mind
However,
of two minds.
however,
However.
they do communicate via hormones if they share a circulatory system.
Would, most likely. If they didn't share a circulatory system, they could probably pretty easily be
Separated?
which I think would be what most
Yeah,
doctors try to do at that point.
Yeah, I think these days that's probably.
But those don't count as far as I'm
yeah,
concerned.
we're talking about
talking-
the connected.
Absolutely inseparable.
Inseparable.
Yes.
We'll get our words
Unseparable. I want to emphasize the verb to separate.
Because inseparable could imply emotionally, which I
Right.
imagine most Siamese twins
Right.
are. It's
Probably.
a close-
Oh, absolutely.
Very
Most
close.
identical twins seem to be very emotionally close.
Yeah.
But
That's
we're
a-
talking about people who are physically close and can't change that.
That's a good
unable
point.
to be separated.
There- yeah.
Unable to be.
You got it.
But if they're connected in the fashion where they share the same just lower region.
That's what I'm.
right.
Right.
That's the situation where it's just like, oh,
But-
like you both kind of want to
Well, yeah.
do this thing to like the thing that you share. Whereas if it's like two separate ones, then it's like, okay, that's like pretty.
What if there's two
incestual.
separate lower halves though, but they can both feel both of them,
Whoa.
right?
All right.
Oh,
that's
so it's just
interesting.
like one of them is just like,
So-
oh shit, like I want to do it, and then like the other
The other
one's
person.
leaving their shit alone.
Yeah. But they both feel it, or
Ah.
if they can not feel it.
This is really interesting.
It's
Yeah,
a case
yeah,
by
it's
case
not-
basis. It's a case by case
Exactly,
basis.
exactly. Yeah, so in that situation, yeah, I don't think that would be incestual either.
I think really the best case scenario, or at least the most realistic case scenario, is that you have to have a tribunal that would take each case one by one, and we have to be
Yeah.
the tribunal. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
To determine which Siamese twin cases are incestuous, and
Yeah,
yeah.
and we have to watch. We have to watch.
Oh,
I mean,
then we
so,
have to
oh,
watch.
we need
Yeah.
to have this.
It
we
might
have to
shift
watch.
over
The
the line
viewership going. I see.
between not incest to incest, so we have to be observing.
We
what's
have to
going
be
on.
there for every single second of the
Of
contact.
course.
And we have to be watching.
I
all
think
the
the most
time.
important thing is, I hope that I am very much in favor of conjoined twins having healthy, fulfilling sex lives.
Oh.
Beyond that, I think, the rest is just semantics.
That's a very good point. I mean, as a PC podcast, as a podcast,
as a Christian podcast.
as a podcast, an equal opportunity podcast. I think
won't be
so
able to be
long,
happy.
so long as everybody's happy. Somebody at the door. Scott, could you get the door?
I can go get the door.
We
Are they at the door, or is it from upstairs?
I think I don't know. This is a
Find out.
crazy day.
Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna check the registration.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kirk is gonna call when he's here.
My brother did just call. Can you
Oh, he did?
can you
Okay.
call him?
Call Bill.
Yeah, call my
Yeah,
brother. And welcome to the Modern Day Podcast.
Welcome to the new gig, guys.
So, let me talk for a little bit. Part of what I want to do. Oh, you're calling already.
Oh, I got it.
Part of what I want to do with this is one. I want to just have a little bit of levity, talk about absolute nonsense like we're doing. I want to.
Hey, this is very scientific. Okay.
Hey, calm down. I want to incorporate our love for board games, which is why I'm trying to incorporate those into the live streams as well. And I don't know. I mean, we had a really awesome board game night last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really intense. Also, Scott was losing his fucking mind.
Yeah, we were playing Settlers of Catan, and at some point, our friend Scott, who's now walking off in the background talking to my brother, he decided that he was no longer going to play in his best interest, and he just it was
All about the destruction
yeah.
of James.
He just no, not even the destruction of me. It just became the destruction of anybody.
Some men
No,
just
he
want
was-
to watch
he
the
was-
world burn.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true. But especially James, because he's fucked people over so many times in Settlers.
Yeah.
He has a very, very nasty history of
That's
just
true.
destroying Scott in any
that's-
kind of trustworthy manner.
That's true.
There's
Yeah,
a little bit of aggression.
there is. I mean, Scott, can I ask you? Last night when we were playing Catan, were you aggressive with me because you had this built-up anger throughout our friendship, or was that because you just? Is that because you had one singular drink and you got a little bit wasted?
I had one. The singular drink is correct. Is that Kurt?
Oh, how you doing? We're getting maintenance on the studio house.
I did have one singular drink. The drinks were very good, James.
You made them, so I don't know why you're complimenting me.
It was a combination of Jameson and Campari
Yes.
and seltzer water.
I saw that you were really enjoying it,
I-
especially as you kept drinking it.
Oh yeah, it was one drink. I'm not a drinker, but I drank. Anyway, the aggression
Yeah.
came from the fact that you are a relentless maniac when it comes to board games. That's it. And I know there's always a point where you're gonna turn on people. You're gonna turn on everyone. So I'm gonna beat you to it, and I'm just gonna be a maniac right off the bat.
You're claiming you're trying to turn over a new leaf, but we see the sinister nature in your eyes.
I genuinely am trying to turn over a new leaf because I've had some time for self-reflection, right? I've thought about this. I've thought about my strategies, and I said to myself, every time I play board games, I'm so aggressive, and it never works in my favor because I immediately anger everybody. And
And everyone turns on you.
Yeah,
No.
and then there's residue that just keeps building up from the previous game.
And so-
Case in point,
it
Scott.
manifesting in me losing my mind. And did I win?
you won.
I won
You
the first.
Yeah, and then I
game.
won. No, I think
I
you
won
won
the
the
first
first one. I won the second one.
I came close.
But you
I came
basically
very
were
close.
helping me.
Yeah, I was at that point.
I mean, well, I have also been nothing but kind.
Yes. You very altruistic throughout that entire game. So
It's what
had
I
to help you
it's what I
out.
try and do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try to be a good person, even if I'm destroying.
Yeah.
Yes. And you won. And you won.
But I just want to say, I thought I put a lot of thought into this. I said, maybe being the aggressor in all of these board games isn't working in my favor because more often than not, everybody gets angry and everybody turns on me almost immediately.
Yes.
And and while that is very fun while you're playing board games, it's not the most conducive towards victory. And victory is obviously something I'm really intrigued by.
Victory is the goal,
Victory is the goal,
Yes.
always, almost always. The three words I live by are trade, build, settle. So,
Oh,
I
thought it
believe
was-
that's a Klaus Tuber quote.
that is in fact a quote of Klaus Tuber.
hey.
But as I'm turning over this new leaf in life, I've found that I've been met with so much resistance from everybody because everybody thinks I'm still the masochist, the angry, the imperialistic angry person that I was.
Well, I think it's because in the past you have said this,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you've immediately gone back to destruction.
This is a long-term plan of his. He's subverting our expectations, and he's trying to pull one over on us. So he's gonna lose a couple games.
Yeah.
And then once we stop being so aggressive, he's gonna come back harder than ever.
So you really think that this is all part of one grand narrative that I'm doing?
100%.
Well, so
100%.
on my end, not necessarily. I think
Okay.
it's just the way the mold ends up developing. You're like, oh, I want to turn a new lead or leaf, whatever the
You don't turn a new lead. That doesn't make any sense.
But whatever that's saying. So like you're just like, oh, I'm trying to change, and then
Yeah.
like you start trying, and then like as you play on, you're like, oh, but like I really miss being the aggressor.
Yeah.
And then the fucking transformation that was happening ultimately just everything just goes.
Well,
back.
I think the mistake is that I just need to find new people to play board games with.
who don't understand your strategy.
Because the problem is that everybody, that you guys already know my shtick. You know what I'm going to do. So I just need to get new friends. That's really what it comes down to.
Speaking of new friends, Bill wants to know if he could bring his cats over.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to bring this is going to be we have Kirk coming.
Kirk and
cats.
crazy cats. 'Cause
Late-
Ezra is out of his fucking mind.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love that cat. He's super affectionate. So is Enoch. But Ezra, so when Lexi was here, he really enjoyed biting our heads. We'd just be like hang out on the couch, and he'd be like, meow, fucking just like biting fucking head.
I also got a text from Ross Dinger. Is he coming
Oh
here?
wait, lawyer guy?
Is he supposed to
Lawyer
come here?
Ross?
Because he said, "Where are you guys?"
Well, if he wants to come to my apartment, he can come.
Just fucking rolling
I think you just invited people and just forgot about it.
No, I just invited people and decided to host a podcast, and then was going to see how that worked out.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell him.
I
we're here.
will say we were hemorrhaging some viewers, so I don't know if our maybe we should try not to talk over each other so much. Either, yeah, I'm looking at you, or just one mistake that I always make is that I laugh in the microphone, so we'll laugh a little bit.
So
further back.
should I do this? Just like
If you're
Do
laughing,
belly laughs. Belly laughs.
Or you guys could just be less funny.
oh my god, yeah, that's
no,
true.
that's true. We
Stop
should
it.
be just very dark and serious.
I have the headphones on, and I didn't expect John to come from my right ear, so I thought one of the guys that's working on the apartment came over behind me and
to
whispered.
comment?
Surprise.
I was like, wow. But yeah, we played, aside from playing Catan last night, which was one of the most amazing games of Catan. I kind of want to go into a little bit about the way we play, because we didn't really give anybody context. We kind of just started talking about it ourselves.
Talking about you being the
So
pure
part of
destroyer.
one of the mechanics that we introduced into Catan that's not in the actual rule book is that when you roll a 7, you have the option to move the robber, but we added an element called extortion, which is a thing that you do in everyday life. Obviously, you extort people here and there.
Naturally.
But we added it into the game where you can threaten people to place the robber on their piece in exchange for gifts. And if you get a certain amount of gifts, then maybe you won't place the robber on their piece or on their land.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah, that's the hope. But I built a reputation as being an aggressor because I would extort people, take their tribute, and then I'd put it right on their board piece.
Yep.
You should
Yeah.
never do that.
It was
Tragic.
Yeah. And
Tragic
do you have any
betrayal.
stories about that happening to you?
I think in the beginning when I trusted you in these fucking games.
Yeah.
I was like, I think we made a pact. And then like towards the end, I think you were about to win. I don't know. I was at like 4 points. You were at 8 or something. You got the robber. I like did my usual thing. I was like, oh, here you go, friend.
Yeah.
And then you were just like, well, you're getting fucked. Then you fucking nippled me.
Yeah,
The robber we call the nipple.
Oh yeah. Well, if you ever look at the board game piece itself, the robber does resemble a very erect nipple, which is quite
or a
interesting.
bullet, but I prefer calling it.
Bullets don't have areolas. First of all,
No,
last time I
that's true.
checked.
It does kind of have, yeah. But I'm just saying, it is like a bit bullety too.
Yeah, no, that's
Just
true.
throwing it
That's
out
true.
there.
But
Throwing it
yeah,
out there.
I had, I think really where I went wrong, turning into a cartoon character, where I went wrong, I can't say that, was where I shook your hand saying I won't do this, and then immediately went and did it.
Yes.
And so that
Absolute
crossed so many bounds, and now I'm regretting that all of those decisions. It's been hundreds, it really.
There are repercussions to your actions, sir.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna try to turn over a new leaf or get new friends. It's really the two options I have. But we played another game last night.
See.
We played another game, Once Upon a Time.
Yes. Oh, those stories.
The middle one was the best.
Which
Yeah.
one?
The middle one was.
Oh, it was fucking ridiculous.
Well,
I was,
with the chef.
Scott, Charlie's Angels voice from above. Why don't you give the audience a little bit of a lowdown of what that game is? What is Once Upon a Time?
Okay, so Once Upon a Time is it's basically a storytelling game that involves everyone gets 11 minus the number of players cards. So we had 3 people, so it was 11 minus 3. So everyone starts with 8 cards.
Math checks
And-
out.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thanks for the math check. So we always need a math guy on.
We have 2 mathematicians across from us, which they excluded from their introductions. By the way, I don't. How did you exclude that? That's like
Uh,
I don't
Trying
even.
to focus on other aspects
You-
of my personality.
yeah.
They're not
Friendship,
just numbers,
you guys.
James.
I mean,
our derpiness is more important. At
You
this,
guys,
at this time.
you guys have lost your opportunity to introduce yourselves properly, and now people will just know you as Math Guy, as Naru123 has just mentioned.
Math guy.
You guys are Math Guy,
Okay.
both of you.
we're
collectively.
the collective.
Voltron
we're
just
conjoined-
One
assembling
singular
math
guy.
Yeah, you are the Siamese twin known as Math Guy.
Oh my God, John.
To tie it all back. So Scott, continue. Tell us what about this game and how it works.
Once Upon a Time is the game, and you have so we started with 8 cards, and eight plot points is what they are. There's aspects, which are like kind of like adjectives. There's places, characters, items, and events. So you have all these plot points, and you will also start with an ending card, which could be anything from, and that's how the village got such a weird name,
my
to
favorite.
my personal favorite, and the king was delighted to find such an unusual gift, which comes into play later.
Yeah.
So you have your ending card, and you have to tell the story and steer the story with all of its twists and turns towards your ending. And people take turns telling the story based on how many cards they could play and if they're rambling or not. And basically you have to kind of just figure out how to make it work for your ending, which is
Yeah.
really hard most of the
Can
time.
I
Yeah.
vote rambling on this explanation, if that's okay?
Pass.
So part of what makes the game so exciting is that everybody has independent endings, and everyone's ending is completely different, and you can interrupt using interrupt cards, or if they say the same word that you have a card of, and the story gets kind of torn in all these different directions. But a really integral rule is that if you introduce something via your card, it has to be crucial to the story. Now, this rule was, I would say, the rule that was violated the most last night, where within
Violations everywhere.
Yeah,
within
it was
yeah,
aggressive.
It was aggressive. So within the matter of 3 sentences, a new character was introduced who was a talking horse, who was introduced by Scott.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
This animal can talk.
Yeah. So this talking horse was introduced to the game. The talking horse had an affinity for human women, and had a friend known as a prince, or who was a prince, who came to his rescue, only to then be upset by his behavior and then murder him. So we had this loop of a story that took place within a story about this anal sex loving horse. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes, let's be honest.
Let's
If
be-
anything, that's all we can be honest about this whole story. It doesn't have to make sense as long as we're honest.
and so and so this horse, the horse is brought into this story. It travels up this mountain, which fortunately has stairs to make it easier. Which
Yeah.
I don't know why it had stairs, but we're lucky that it did
It
have
was a
stairs.
very innovative mountain.
It really was.
Science,
And
technology, engineering.
yeah, yeah.
Stairs.
And all within this very short time span, this new set of 4 characters was introduced, and they all ended up dead, and it really went off the rails. But we had 2 other stories that were kind of successful. Do you remember them?
There was the chef.
Oh yeah, the first one.
Tell me the chef.
Yeah. The first one was a chef, and it needed to go in search of like this mythical butcher's knife or something, and it's traveling through the dark woods, and it finds a ring, and the ring can make it really small, so that way, even though it travels really slowly, it can hide from its enemies. And as it's traveling, it stumbles upon a bonfire that is presumably filled with thieves just running around it, and he decides
thieves do.
he decides to take off the ring because he and grab the butcher's knife that one of the thieves is running around with, because he's like, oh my god, that's my fucking knife, and he takes off the ring assuming that it will make him big again, and it does. And he realizes that they're all just a bunch of ugly trolls, and they had eaten a bunch of thieves and just put on their clothes. And then I forgot from there, so I'm gonna pass it on to Scott.
Pass the rambling.
He's rambling.
And I think it started raining at some point. A weather condition, like a weather card, was played, and it started raining. And as everyone knows, the lore specific to this story, trolls become stone in the rain. So they
That's a
all
weird
were turned to
mechanic.
stone. The butcher's knife was dropped, retrieved by the cook, and returned to the kingdom.
Well, what happened was the cook was captured. The cook was brought back.
Yeah.
He was captured.
Yeah, he was brought back by the king's men. He then sat in prison until he aged and became very old and turned into a monster. Turned into a goddamn monster.
Yes, and the king was so angry about the whole situation that James was gearing up towards his own ending. He was very close. He had one card to play, but I think
close.
he used a word that I could have interrupted. I interrupted him basically, and my ending also fit. And the ending that I had was. The king obviously didn't like the cook because he disobeyed him. The ending that I had was something along the lines of the king, seeing the cook now become a monster, was delighted with such an unusual gift. The unusual gift being a monster.
It was great. It was great.
I think the second one though. I'll talk about the third in a second, but the second one was my favorite just because it just the getting hypnotized by a gaping anus is just so absurd to me.
That one was.
So James, I take it your sponsors really have not put any limits on your content.
I don't know if they have. I think once
Might
they
find out.
Yeah, I'll find out after releasing this one. We'll see.
Yeah.
And listen. Bobby Lee talks about some pretty ridiculous stuff, and he has plenty of sponsors.
Yeah. No, I mean that's true.
Okay.
That's
We've
kinda-
already agreed that if we ever say anything really egregious, we're just going to say, oh, but Bobby Lee. We're blaming it on him.
We can always defer to actual podcasts and say, hey, they're doing it, so why can't we do it?
This is an actual podcast.
Yeah, that's true. This is an actual
Yeah,
podcast.
don't-
I just want to say
don't
to
discredit.
anybody that's watching, the podcast has taken a crazy turn from what they had previously tuned in for. I did not give them any warning
Yeah,
whatsoever.
This is a rock and roll.
I'm
roller
very
coaster
excited.
right now.
Weren't they previously interviews?
They were.
Yeah, I think I watched like 2 of them, and I was like, these are informative interviews with legitimate professionals.
They were very polite. They were very professional.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm working on my ability as an interviewer. I'm trying to be more of a presenter, trying to be a little bit more of an entertainer. But I love Tiger Belly. I love Your Mom's House. I love
Yes.
all those, and I kind of want to go in that direction. And yeah,
You
I'm
can always
excited.
fork the podcast, have interviews.
You
and
could.
That's true. Well, we are going to have interviews. I actually have a couple scheduled. So don't worry, people in the chat that are giving me a hard time about art. There's going to be more art stuff going on. Don't worry. We're here just to have a little bit of fun. Drink some mead from John's girlfriend.
Hey,
Thank you, Morgan.
hey.
Yeah. Thank you, Morgan.
This could just just
Blueberry
become modern
lavender
day
mead.
derp.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's
modern day derp.
let's tie it back to something that's actually applicable to everybody, aside from these awesome, amazing board games that we love.
Yes.
Let's
yes.
talk about fucking what we were talking about yesterday, real life shit, work burnout, because that's something
Oh,
you and Bill
okay.
both
Yeah.
experience quite heavily.
All right. I guess do you want to start with that, or should I just?
I think you should start because you're feeling it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the hours I work. I don't really have the right to complain all that much, but it can still hit me. I primarily work from home, and the hours that I can work are or that I do work can sometimes be up to 15 to 16 hours.
Yeah.
And when you're writing algorithms or just dealing with any kind of processes that you have to maintain at your job, and you're working those kind of hours, you start becoming like, holy fuck. And if you're inside all the time, you start getting fucking stir crazy.
Yeah.
And so you can start feeling super detached and just what the fuck is life?
Yeah,
What
there is this weird sort of what's the term? Cabin fever that goes on when you work from home. I mean, I work from this room that we're all sitting in, and
Nice room.
Thank you. It's a great room. I love this tapestry that I have here. I got it from the Sheep and Wool Festival, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Hey.
But
Fancy.
I think it is. You do have to do things that are fun. Part of what we're doing here, for me at least, is we can all have a little bit of fun, and still sort of be doing work at the same time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just you got to take breaks. You got to have have
Yeah.
something to have fun. Because so many people, dude, I get so many students that are like, oh, I just worked like 15 hours. They did what I was doing, which is like you'll stay up 2 days in a row and then
Yep.
not sleep for a day or sleep that next day.
Well, I think what ends up happening is like with this stuff, like let's just talk about just like general work, right?
Yeah.
Like with work, sometimes you just like get too sucked into it and you become a workaholic, and then you kind of forget like how to actually, I guess have fun outside of that environment.
Yeah.
And that's where the balance really just gets like completely set off.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, yeah, I probably is why I started getting as into video games again as I have, because
Yeah.
like I played a fuck ton as a kid and that was a lot of fun for me. And with also Dark Souls and Bloodborne just being as baller as they are. But I've also been going out more, just like, but it's super easy when you're burnt out to just be like, all right, fuck it, like I'm gonna stay.
I'm
in
just
'cause I
going to play
can't
Dark
handle it."
Souls.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay in and play Dark Souls and not interact, because
Yeah.
going out can still take like a lot of mental energy that you've just
Yeah.
like been fucking drained of
Yeah.
during the day.
Yeah, and he works for the Mental Health Association, now known as Vibrant.
Yeah.
I think we like to refer to it as Vibrant.
Yeah, Vibrant. It's a French word.
I guess.
So what do you call in Vibrant? What do they refer to people like Andrew and I as, or you actually? You're one of us as well.
Refer as people who are burnt out. Is that what you mean?
Workaholics.
Workaholics.
Is there a technical term for it?
No, we don't.
Is there a math term for it? That doesn't
It's a
make any
very
sense.
terse definition.
Yes, it's called a mathematician.
Okay.
There's a Saturday morning breakfast cereal comic that we'll have to pull up soon.
Oh, okay.
It references that fact.
Gilbert?
No, Dilbert.
Get the fuck out of here
Scott
with your
Adams.
Dilbert bullshit.
But for the most part, the programs that we're administering over at Vibrant are geared toward people who are not just suffering the usual strains of working life, but are really having a more extreme crisis.
Okay.
So they don't care about you.
Oh,
No, they
my
care.
God.
They care. I shouldn't
don't
say
care.
that, but you're not.
Now you're putting words in
You
it.
have to reach out to them.
Now you're putting words in their mouth.
Yeah, I don't
They
wanna
might
do
care about me. Somebody might like this YouTube channel. We don't know.
It's possible. I hope they do.
They reach out after the podcast. We do care.
They do care. They care about. Actually, we're in Brooklyn, which is in New York City, and there's the NYC Well program. I'll plug that a little bit.
Oh, there
and
you
you
go.
don't need to be in an extraordinary crisis to reach out for them. If you're just not feeling well, they've got a lot of programs and resources to just try to connect with people in the
Yeah.
community and make people feel better. So they do
Awesome.
care.
And
But
anybody
you
that
do
watches,
have to reach
yeah.
out to them, not the other way around.
Okay. And anybody that watches the channel, you can reach out to me as well. I probably won't answer, but you're more than welcome to do that. I don't answer even my friends, so I'm
true.
just.
It really is factual. But sometimes it's not just him getting too lost in whatever he's doing. Sometimes his phone just explodes.
That's true. My phone will explode all the time.
Or is it in the bottom of the ocean?
We never know.
Yes,
I did
for
throw.
for 4 months. For 4 months.
That actually is a true story. It was in the
Yes.
bottom of the ocean for 4 months. But getting back to what we're saying, I think part of it, because you guys have a similar level of stress in terms of like your working conditions that I do, and I'm like running a business, but they put that on you. They put the same level of stress, it seems like, as employers. Because I notice it with Bill, where he'll be at home thinking about his work or thinking about his boss, and it's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think some of it is not like purely from the employer. I mean, ultimately there are deadlines and there are infrastructures that are handled.
Yeah.
And Bill a lot of the time has to construct that infrastructure and
Yeah.
needs to be sure nothing
Yeah.
breaks. So, certainly there's stress from the deadlines, but like at least the way he's described it, it's still actually pretty chill where he's working. It's just like the kind of stress that he puts on himself. And also I get it, because like at times it can be pretty relaxed at my company as well. It just comes down to the kind of shit that we maintain and
Yeah.
have to like there's something called technical debt. So like, you do something once and then it's like, okay, this works, but you have to go back every so often and then refactor the bullshit.
Gotcha.
And
wait,
as you
question. Is credit card debt a technical debt, or is that
no, that is an
It
actual
is
debt.
technically
Oh,
debt,
okay.
but it is actually
is that
debt.
technically
That's
debt?
not
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta deal
but,
with that.
But so you have to go back and you need to refactor and optimize your scripts so that way it can run better. Because I mean, sometimes things work initially and then it just breaks.
Okay. So am I
And-
wrong in saying that more of your stress is self-imposed than external, or is it?
It's a combination. There's definitely a lot of like at least I think it really hits Bill more than me, but like we both really just like to do well at the things that we pursue. And so if we're working for someone, we would like to show that we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And as you start building up, this fucking like this stack of processes, naturally the company is then putting pressure on you, but also you're putting pressure on yourself.
You become
to make sure
emotionally
that
invested
works.
in the product
Exactly.
itself.
Yeah.
Can I have a little bit more mead
Yeah,
by any
absolutely.
chance? Because how epic is that to say, can I have some mead?
Yeah.
Second, we have a question from the audience. I don't know if this is a legitimate question or not, but that's fine. Do you guys have that dark void feeling and start questioning what's the point of all this?
Oh,
we
yeah.
will die anyway. Thoughts? Now that is a very nihilistic take on
Yeah,
that.
that's definitely some
I
existential
do want to
nihilism,
point
yeah.
out that Vibrant administers the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So if you want to plug that, if anybody needs it, no joke. If you need it,
Yeah,
it's
no,
there. It's
actually-
a resource for everyone, and they do care about getting out to people. And if you need them, reach out. But that is a pretty good question. You have a thought? You didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, it's cool. I think it's very important to give a shout out to Vibrant.
Well, more the National Suicide Prevention thing, because
Yeah.
anybody listening, if you need that sort of reresource, it's there. Don't
Yeah.
forget about
he did
that.
say that we will die anyway, and I don't know if that's because he's going to kill us.
Oh,
Or that, because
please
like, "Y'all better
don't.
watch out."
Yeah.
I've got a lot of like appointments that I need to keep.
Yeah,
Please don't kill me.
he sounds like he knows a lot about when we're going to die, and that's kind of scary.
Dude,
I don't wanna
I
know.
wish I had that kind of insight. That's
Really?
amazing.
Would you want to know when you
because
were gonna die?
honestly, I feel
I
like
wouldn't.
that would be a
I would
really-
not. I don't
I
know
mean,
when you
it's
were-
it's certainly like kind of scary because it's like, oh fuck, I now actually know when it's gonna end, as opposed to being like, oh, I know what happens at some point, but I don't know when. Because then I feel like, I don't know, you might be able to structure your life in just like a completely different manner. Than
Yeah, but then you have to
currently
start gearing your decisions that as you approach that date, you just do more and more erratic shit. It's like, well, I only got 2 days, so I'm just going to jump and I'm going to rob a,
Yeah, I
a
guess,
bank. And
I
like,
guess if it was 2 days,
Sounds
maybe.
great.
Like, let's say it was like 40 years down the road or something. You knew the exact date. Like, if for instance in Slaughterhouse 5 with fucking Kurt Vonnegut,
Yeah.
right? He witnessed, because he was unstuck in time, he witnessed his death like over and over again. But, just kind of having that knowledge and just like still kind of living, doing. He was a little bit on autopilot, but still kind of like living and doing just like
yeah.
things with this knowledge. Like, I don't know. I feel like if it was 40 years down the road for me, I would probably, I don't know, shape things in a different way to maybe like retire sooner or like do more music stuff. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
I mean,
Different
that's
things.
that's
I
kind of the thing with like saving money too, because you're saving for some abstract kind of
Yeah.
thing you don't
Yeah.
know, so it can get to the point where you're like saving indefinitely, and you're like,
Yeah, you're
well, I
just-
don't know how much money I
Yeah.
need, so I'm just gonna keep saving it all, and like
You become a pack rat and start
Yeah.
saving for the sake of saving. That's why
Exactly.
I always invest in studio equipment. And then
Bitcoin.
I always invest.
I think they have Badcoin now.
I always invest in BitConnect. I think it's a great thing.
Oh, Connect!
I just want to say that the person who asked the question, the is life meaningless question, says, quote, "And I want to kill you."
Oh.
No, he had a typo. He had a typo.
We got to defend
He,
us.
he said, "And I won't kill you," but he
Oh,
actually
thank
he
you.
had a typo that said, "And I want kill you,"
Oh, it's cool. We all make typos.
which is really great.
I
We
guess
didn't answer his
actually-
question though. We
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
answer his question.
I guess actually answering that question. I mean, of course, when you're really fried, you're gonna think like, okay, what the fuck am I doing right now? Like you're like, there's more to life than just this.
Yeah.
But once you're like less fried, you might still have those thoughts. I mean, I've been stuck on like that kind of, I get stuck in that thinking at various points, probably since I was like 14.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of what happens when you get burned the fuck out. You're just like, there's got to be
Yeah.
something more than feeling this.
Yeah, so for me, I always have this, like, I feel like there's a grand narrative in my life where I'm like, okay, this is all going to lead towards something, and it's all
Yeah.
going in one direction. But then in, like, the moment-to-moment thing, when I have a night like last night where I invest, like, 10 hours in Catan streaming, then I'm like, what is the point of
Yep.
then you get a little bit, you start questioning that a little bit. And I did wake up with a significant degree of regret. I was very
What
tired.
time did you wake up?
I woke up at 10 and I went to bed at
Ooh,
5. So I
ah.
was like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. But then, you know what? I started drawing and then
And now you got some coffee in your system?
got coffee in my
Hey.
system, completely reverted back to the
Yeah.
positive view of things. And I think as long as you have that, like, set destination that you're going to go to, or some sort of, like, I don't know, for me, I want to make some board games, maybe do some animations. You have things that you want to do. If you're heading towards that, then I don't think there's any meaninglessness to it. Even
Yeah.
if it is meaningless, at the end of your life, it's like, well, at least your life was pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is like, you know, at the end of the day one could argue that like a lot of the things that we do might be meaningless, but we give meaning to the things that we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's like as long as it was meaningful to us and we actually feel okay doing these things, right?
For sure. Now we got a question.
Philosophy.
Have you guys seen the new Gillette commercial?
I have not. I've
no.
heard of the controversy, but I haven't seen the commercial.
I vaguely remember Gillette commercials from ages ago, but I don't commercial.
Well, I don't know if you want to get into it.
Okay, fucking lay it on us.
I'll give my synopsis of it. And to be honest, what I think of it is I think people get too upset about everything, myself included. Sometimes, I think a lot of times people are always, like I guess I come off on the side of being a little too anti-PC. Even last night, I was like, okay, just got to calm down a little bit.
Yeah,
But
man, you. Yeah, you definitely get worked up.
but in hindsight, with a little bit of reflection, I say to myself, maybe I shouldn't get so worked up about it. What's the worst that's going to happen? This stream's going to get demonetized, and that's not a big deal. Or maybe they'll give me a community strike on my YouTube channel. We'll find out.
I think a copy strike is more likely
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
it's YouTube.
It's YouTube. So about the Gillette commercial, I think, okay, maybe I could see being a little annoyed because basically their take was like, it was sort of anti-toxic masculinity, but not really. It was more of like, it was be the best man you can be or something. So it was like, be nice to your children, don't bully, all that sort of thing, or whatever it was.
So just be like a decent human being.
Virtuous.
Yeah.
Virtuous.
But people kind of saw that as like a virtue signaling thing. And for me, it's like, okay, whatever, their business,
So-
they're going to do their thing.
What exactly went on in this commercial?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Can you give us a play-by-play
Yeah.
of what exactly
Okay,
takes
so
place?
it starts off, it says like, it's not, because the original catchphrase for Gillette was be the best a man can get or something. And then it got changed now to be the best man you can be, which I don't really see how that's any different. But
Yeah, it's along the same lines.
it's kind of the same thing.
It's like the same spirit.
But instead, they were like the examples of the best men they were showing were like a dad stopping this kid from bullying, a guy stopping somebody from like hitting his wife or like screaming at his wife or something, and it was like all the classic examples of like breaking toxic masculinity, whatever it was.
So a bunch of soy boys.
Yes, so as Scott has paraphrased for us, a bunch of soy boys. Yes.
Oh, damn soy
Yes.
boys.
Oh my god.
And so I think I don't know. I think it's like it's whatever. Who cares? Like I could see it. I like the take that Ricky Gervais had on it, which was, I'm not sure why my razor company is giving me like political and moral advice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
like-
is a little odd. Yeah.
So I think that's the only way that I would take I would take criticism with it.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's like it's a bit weird, but I don't think it's like inherently bad to be like, hey, you should protect children and like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like if people are trying to abuse their spouse, you should fucking not.
But
stand for that.
my question is, after you shave, like you use your Gillette razor.
Yeah, right. It's like you shave and then all of a sudden you're
Is
just, like,
that
the
when
most
you
virtuous
is-
human being?
No. Was it before this commercial? Was it previously that you would shave and then be so enraged that you had to beat your significant
Yeah,
other?
you
or
got like
was it,
one cut, and then it's just like you fucking bitch.
I think it's because, and I say this as a man with a beard.
mean, me too.
When we shave and then we look at our pathetic baby faces, we just have to reassert our masculinity.
Oh my god.
Speaking of pathetic baby faces,
Oh,
Yeah, Scott is the one person here without a beard, but you
which is
can't
why
see
I'm
that.
so aggressively masculine all the
Yeah.
time. I have to prove myself.
It's very intimidating,
I-
and yeah.
I will say the soy boy or actually not the soy boy, the toxic masculinity,
You grow a
hyper.
beard, Scott?
It's funny that the most hyper masculine of us works at BuzzFeed.
Oh,
I'm not a hyper masculine at all.
Scott's totally normal.
I am completely not hyper masculine.
I just you
I
can't
weigh like 90 pounds.
you can't see him right now. He's off camera. He's wearing a sweater with a button up shirt, and it's like tucked through like a very classy way. He
Yeah.
can't grow a beard, and he's got a nice little swoosh on his hair. He looks very put together. Very handsome guy.
It's true.
But he's not hyper masculine. I think he's the opposite of toxic masculinity. If I had to
Why,
describe
thank
you.
I think
Welcome.
Scott is an
Thank
example
you,
of
thank you.
virtuous masculinity, right up there with Mr. Rogers,
Yes,
or
100%.
yeah.
Me and Mr. Rogers, that's who I take most of my like kind of life guidance from.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going for that style and that fashion. I like
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
But I will say, yeah, I think that's my take on that. I mean, you know, to each their own. If Gillette thinks that this is their approach that's going to work,
Yeah, it's
No.
a bit odd. I mean, the thing with commercials is that they have like such insane budgets, and they're just like, I think because so many people they're hoping so many people watch television that they're just like, oh fuck, like we should maybe preach a little bit of philosophy
Well,
or just like
yeah.
virtuousness or like make this a fucking movie. Hey.
Well, it's like because I mean, I think what people are more angry about is the fact that like Gillette's even getting political. Like James said it before. Like, why is my razor company trying
Yeah.
to like
well, I didn't say
instill
it.
moral value?
Ricky Gervais said it. but-
Ricky Gervais said it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Quoting Ricky Gervais, but I mean, like, I think it's mostly just Gillette trying to get their name in the media.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these things have like economic implications because now people are actually gonna say, I'm gonna buy Gillette razors because they believe this or they're putting
Yeah.
out this message. So that's my,
Could
if you
you-
want to get into it,
Yeah.
like that's my take on a lot of this stuff. It's
It's strange.
economic incentive to act
Yeah.
this way because people jump on it, gets free publicity via social media and stuff
In
like that.
6
It's so
months.
obvious.
Yeah, they're trying to feed into the psychology.
Yeah,
no one's
exactly.
going to remember this commercial in 6 months, but everyone will have said Gillette for 6 months.
Not
Exactly.
So
I
Yeah.
will say I will remember it. I've saved it to my desktop about 1,000 times. With my every icon that is on my desktop is a copy of that commercial. I will not forget
When
it.
he's
I love it.
drawing, he's listening and occasionally peering at it.
Yeah,
But
but
if you can draw inspiration from that one way or the other, then great. As long as you
Thank
can
you.
find some
Draw
value in that for yourself.
well, I don't want to harp on these controversial topics for too long because I think that's a dangerous way to go with this, especially because there's so many people online talking about it.
For the record, I do use Gillette to shave.
You do use Gillette? Wait a minute. You have an electronic razor.
Well, okay. On the occasion that I decide to actually be like, all right, I guess I'll get rid of these hairs
Oh.
some more. I fucking hate doing it, but I'll do
So
it.
you telling me that you're a soy boy? Are you
I-
are you
yeah,
here
I think
publicly?
that's the-
on
Yeah.
occasion. On occasion,
That's
I'm
what
a
it
soy
sounds.
boy.
Soy milk's
But
delicious.
you can ask you can ask Lexi, and she'll tell you that.
Who's that?
My girlfriend.
Oh, you mean Wiggly Line?
Wiggly Line 92.
Oh, okay. okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Plug.
She will tell you that I fucking hate shaving more than anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything. Actually, no. There's definitely things I hate more, but shaving sucks.
Does.
So
Imagine
I've,
that was the worst thing about your life. That was the way you
Talk
hated
about
the most.
privilege.
Great time.
Shaving
That
is
was
the
all-
worst thing you have to deal with.
You have all the things going on in the world. It's like fucking shaving.
yeah, you're really not making a strong case for yourself. I'm sorry.
All right. I guess I'm a soy boy.
No.
Yeah, if you weren't a soy boy, you'd be shooting the hair off your face with a gun. That's what real men
That's-
are doing. You know? That's what real men are doing. Real me. That's what I do.
So
That's,
Oh,
that's
so
why
that's
you
why
have
you're
that
so
clean.
fucking
to
dirty.
to,
right now.
to,
Okay.
to tie everything back together, really quick. We were talking earlier about fatigue from work. And-
Fat Tiger.
Yeah, fatiguey, and something that
Hey.
that Scott and I have been doing to account for or to fight back from this fatiguey or fatigue for the regular English speakers
For the non-French.
has been
Hold it,
yes for the non-French has been bouldering actually
Bouldering.
bouldering
Yes.
Bouldering indeed.
and bouldering you say yes, and we've been doing that and it's a ton of fun. It's such a I will say the bouldering community of any community, be it music, art, science, so far that I've encountered, the bouldering community is the best.
Very welcoming.
Right?
But to segue from toxic masculinity, there
Do
is
they suffer from it?
I don't suffer from it, but
No,
there
do
is-
they? Do they?
Some of them do because there's this new phenomenon which I guess I've seen in passing, like REI guys that have like
Yeah.
all the tech stuff, but there's Boulder Bros.
Boulder bro.
And
Some
and
BBs.
Oh, shit.
they're very intense guys and they're all decked out and like they are bouldering. They are the epitome
Wait.
of bouldering.
Can I say a quote that like summarizes this whole thing? rest is a privilege that you have to earn.
Oh God!
Actual quote.
Fucking military dad.
Actual
dude.
quote from
Yeah.
a trainer to 7-year-olds.
I thought it was his dad. I didn't think it was a
No,
like a
no.
teacher.
So
oh,
it was
a fucking trainer.
It was a group of
Whoa.
it was a group of very young rock climbers. They were all like 7 years old, and this guy is screaming at them. He's like, "Rest is a privilege that you have to earn." And we're like, "Oh my god,
Dude.
Which
What
is like,
went wrong in that guy's life that
I don't
brought
know.
him to that moment?
I don't know, dude. But
Yelling that at
I
7-year-olds.
will say
in a
he is
bouldering
amazing
class.
at climbing. He is
Probably
so
pretty good at it, but I guess he makes his money by screaming at
He,
7-year-olds.
yeah, maybe.
So
I mean, if they keep coming back, though, he's got to be doing something
Yeah.
right. Like the parents are like, "Oh, he's teaching you discipline."
They're
Yeah,
all.
right.
I will say they are all absolutely amazing
Yes,
at climbing.
Those
It is-
kids are very
It's just they
good.
weigh 40 pounds. It doesn't count.
No.
No.
It is not just their very lanky,
They're
very
like
lean
little
bodies.
because they are so light. But yeah,
Yeah.
like they're getting taught some crazy technique
I'm
by
sure that they
by I guess military boulder guy.
Yeah, but it's funny. You know,
Military
I heard a
drill.
little bit of banter between them. They're dishing it at him. They're like, "Oh, how come your hairline's receding so much?"
Oh, from a 7-year-old.
7-year-old.
That's
Wow.
precocious.
Damn, those some witty little kids. Ouch. Oh, that's awesome.
So it goes back and forth just a little bit, which I
Oh.
thought was kind of funny. And I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, all right."
All right.
But I will say one of these. I actually every time I go to bouldering, what I love about it is. Speaking of the art community, it kind of reminds me of that, where everybody's like really willing to share the secrets and very willing to share
Most of
the,
the time,
the
yeah.
techniques.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about art community all the time, but
Mhm.
but with the bouldering community, when we go there, I'm like, I watch somebody do something, and so much of it is learning, just watching what somebody does, and then trying to emulate that, because there's so many different like techniques about how you distribute your weight, how you grab onto something, and I just asked some people, I'm like, hey, can you show me how you did that? And everybody is so willing to do it. They'll just show you the techniques, and there's some shit that I never would have thought of. I would have been sitting
Right.
there for
Yeah.
just days, and you know, oh, loud, oh, sorry, and like
They're just trying to take part.
yeah, you know, I understand. They're far away. They have to make a lot of loud noise.
Content production.
And so for me, I was trying to man through it. I was like, oh, I'll just use all upper body. I will just use all upper body strength. And it turned out that's not the way you
Yeah,
climb,
yeah. You
so-
gotta use a mixture of fucking everything. A lot of leg power.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one that me and Dave were trying to hit. I mean, you've been there far more, so you definitely can attest to it more. But yeah, there was one dude. I think he was trying to help his girlfriend, and me and Dave were struggling on the same thing. And so he's like, "All right, let me show you guys." And we were like, "Oh." Dave got in a second. I was still struggling, but still, it was like I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like that
Yeah.
was brilliant.
It-
What the hell,
Because
man?
when you're waiting, there's only so many rocks to climb. You have no choice but to sit there and
Yeah.
watch other people do it. But the thing that I think is cool is that it is not gender segregated whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's something most people probably don't experience in
Yeah.
sports. Like sports teams forever
Yeah.
are always sex segregated, and if you go there, you could see, you know, no matter what body type or anything, there's so many, anyone could be climbing anything, no matter if you're a woman or a man or whatever. You can like all kind of work together, so it forms more of a community. Whereas if you're just like, you know, separated into specific people, so it's a more cohesive thing. I
Yeah, it's more welcoming to like regardless of like genitals. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
my friend Abby actually did climbing for like I don't know, fucking I think probably her entire college career, if not the entire probably like 3 years of it. And she was doing it like the harness. They were climbing like
Yeah.
actual mountains at some point.
Damn.
Like she got super fucking into it. And
Mm-hmm.
she was climbing with some like real crazy folk.
Yeah,
That's cool.
because it's all
Yeah.
body weight.
Yeah.
It's all about body weight, and like
Yep.
no matter how you're distributed, you can still make it work.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised, like the most jacked dude will get up on the rocks and he'll fall off like in a second.
Yeah.
And then some really lanky girl will go in there and be like,
Yeah, just
get
like
up there.
spider her
And-
way up there.
Yeah.
It's fucking
it's-
amazing.
Yeah, and it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Cardboard Tenchi. It is directed at me. Do you guys mind if I take a question?
By all means,
Please.
It is my podcast,
It
so I'm
is
gonna,
the MDJ
I'm gonna,
podcast, yeah.
I'm just gonna do it.
No.
Modern day James. I'm into art and music too. I'm not gonna. I shouldn't use that voice.
Don't use that voice.
And
So
and
you
I
think of your followers.
they all just
have
sound like
to ma-
Sesame Street characters.
and I have to make fun of them a little bit. And I've heard from my mentors that when you get better at one discipline, you become more capable at the other one. What do you think of this? Now, I 100% wholeheartedly agree with this. And the reason being is that when you no, don't unsubscribe. They said they're unsubscribed.
I am not a Sesame Street character.
He only mocks the people he loves.
Yeah, it's
He
only done
mocks
at a
us
love.
all the time.
And
It's true. It's very true.
that's true. I mock Clamps. I'm sorry, Clamps. I always give you such a hard time, but I love you so much.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We are brothers.
That's true. We are. We live together. We're brothers basically.
Absolutely.
But I
we
will.
look enough alike.
Yeah, we're close enough.
Pretty close.
I will say that one of the things that you get from learning other disciplines is the sort of the way to break the process down. Like for me, with music, it was okay, break things down into learn music theory, learn scales, learn all of that. And kind of when I got into art, it was the same process where I said, okay, what are the fundamental skills that I need to learn? And then even going beyond that, with music, it was like, with music, you could learn all the music theory you want, but you're still not going to write a good song. And I think there's this part that you have to do where you transcend the theory aspect of it, where you start just kind of going purely based on emotion, which you just rely on whatever knowledge you had built, and you leave that in the back of your head and try to forget about it as much as you can, and then go straight based on emotion. Now, I can do that in music, and I cannot for the life of me do it in art yet, but my hope is to get to that point. And I don't know if you guys have experienced anything similar. I know you play music and you code and stuff. And
Yeah, so with music at least, because I mean code, I definitely get super lost. I've had like a span of 3 days where I like kill off an algorithm in 30 hours just because I was like in the flow. With music, I can sometimes with progressively improvising, I can sometimes just get lost and play like probably what sounds like absolute horseshit to anybody else, but I'm just enjoying the kind of atmosphere that the dissonance is providing. So I feel that a bit. Probably more in music just because of that. That's far more expressive than coding.
But do you think that, like, okay, so you went to school for statistics, or was it math? Pure math?
It was pure mathematics in undergrad, and then statistics in graduate school.
But you learned music first, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fucking around with piano since I was 6.
Do you think that had any effect on the way that you went to like learn when you were at school?
Oh, I mean, I'm really good at hyper focusing because I would just play piano for like, I don't know, fucking like 9 hours a day at some point.
I think that's something that I found too, or like when I was in high school, I used to spend so many hours writing music, and I would spend probably like 12 hours in a session. And I think there is something about that hyper focus that you can't get. You could spend the same amount of hours distributed in like different days, right? Let's say I spend 2 hours every day, but if you just spend like 12 hours one day, I know that's probably like the worst advice ever. I know it's probably literally the worst advice ever. Actually, the worst advice ever.
The bad advice section that we've just entered into.
I really think that's the worst advice ever. But there is something that happens where like you just get so wrapped, and it doesn't always work. I'd say maybe it has like a 5% success rate, but there is something to that where like the best stuff I've ever come up with has been in those sessions where I've gone just like put my all into it and just kept going. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think it really varies on what you're doing. Most of my shit was like I was just playing piano for like 9 hours a day because I loved the stimulation. But I found that when I was doing mathematics for say like 14, like I remember there was one night where we both stayed up.
Yeah.
You were doing art in the other room, and I was just doing some fucking real analysis in the other room. And I think I must have worked for like 15 hours. I was useless probably after the first 5.
Okay, yeah.
You're just kind of like drudging through, but of course it really depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know. So, Sviatoslav Richter was a piano interpreter from the 20th century, and he lived by never playing more than 3 hours a day because he found himself to not be very productive after that.
Okay.
And so that, that kind of goes, I guess, more towards the standard advice of quality over quantity.
Maybe it's a to each his own sort of thing.
Exactly. You find what
Yeah.
works best for you, but the standard, I think, is you want more quality because you can go for 15 hours and not really get much done.
No, that's true, and I've
Yeah.
had that happen as
Yeah.
well. I've certainly had that happen as well. I'm just thinking of like there was some nights. I mean, Revital Zed, the music that I wrote.
Vital Zen.
Hey.
That particular song, the first half was written in one night, and then the rest was like spanned over a year. And for me, like sitting up and not quitting until I got it right helped. Like that was the difference maker for me, because had I ended, I distinctly remember the night because it just stuck out in my life. Had I quit 5 hours earlier, maybe the whole like the future of that would have completely changed. And I have no idea.
Right.
But I don't know. There was something to it that it got just so much better over time. And maybe it's just for me, but as I like hunker down and really like, I know that I'm gonna turn off my phone. I'm gonna turn off everything and just invest everything into this one piece. It always comes out better.
I think
I don't know.
that to bring it back to the topic of getting better, sort of cross discipline, I think that what you both have kind of latched onto is a really important point. There are certain traits and certain skills that are common across those disciplines, and so as you're getting better in one, you're also training something that's going to serve you well in the other.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's how getting better at one thing can make you better at another thing. One
That's
of
true.
the ways. There are other things involved too.
Well, I gotta say, guys, this has been pretty positive. I don't know if you want to end off just yet.
I'm down to keep going.
Yeah.
I just we have Bill come in.
Oh wait, he's here.
Well, Bill's gonna he texted me saying he's on his way.
Okay.
So he'll be
He's
here
bringing
at some
cats.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
so
should
we
keep
got
going.
an Ezra that's gonna bite heads. What's good?
Scott, what's going on in your life? Why don't you give us an update before I end the stream?
I'm a freelancer, which is an interesting lifestyle, but I'm given 40 hours a week, so I have a very steady freelance
Yeah, it's
job.
very full time.
But I could drop those hours anytime I want to.
Oh.
So that's what that's why I'm staying in the job, because it's a
Do you
good
want
job.
to plug anything? You want to plug anything?
Any of my own things?
You want to plug yourself? Be like, hey, hire me.
Yeah, if you need audiovisual work or writing or editing, then contact James Murphy and he can get in
God damn
contact
it.
with me.
And now you're an agent.
God damn it.
This is my agent, by the way.
Dude, I'm not your agent at all, and
always,
I
always taking on things.
they'll email me. They'll probably email me, and then I'll just forward it to my trash. 'Cause that's what you are. That's what
Ruining
you
my
are, Scott.
career.
That's what he does to soy boys. Okay?
Grow a beard, damn it.
I just want to say that our good friend Ross made fun of us. He quoted me saying, "Scott, what's going on in your life?" And then he says, "Pans to camera, still not showing Scott." Oh, look who is here!
Oh, hey.
We are currently live on the air with.
Should I bring the cats out?
You can bring the cats out.
They will be the most
Just
popular
can you
part
bring
of this.
Beatrice over to me though?
Oh my God.
Can you bring Beatrice over to me quick?
Can I close this door? So
Yeah.
they don't run around?
Bill, can you just bring me my cat?
Where's
Right there on the couch. Oh, we now have 3 cats here. It's very crazy.
Wait, Dinger's making jokes about me?
Dinger's making fun of me. Actually, he's not making fun of you. Hello.
Oh, yeah,
this is
so
my brother.
wait, what did-
Wait, Bill, this is the first time you've appeared on camera.
I don't know where to look.
Well,
Anywhere.
right now
Except
we're on
you know,
that camera.
Not at Scott, because he's off camera.
I got here as it was starting, and I was like, I've got to sit over here.
Well-
Trying to get along.
Okay, we'll see. Well, while everybody's here, I just want you guys to know that we can do a quick commercial break. This episode of of Cat Nonsense was brought to you by Skillshare.
Who cares?
We now have 3 cats
Oh,
here.
they're gonna knock that camera over.
Oh my god. This is why I should end the stream.
Wait, but so all right, just finish off with what Ross was joking about.
Ross was just making fun of the fact that I asked Scott about his life and then switched to a camera that didn't show Scott in frame.
Oh.
That is pretty funny. That's a good point.
Yeah, I feel like I should switch spots with Scott so he gets.
But I don't have a yeah, I mean unless you
Oh,
want to
Scott.
cycle out. Yeah, cycle out. Bring Scott in here. Is that
Watch
your
that bass guitar.
Bill, people think you're my clone. You want to come over here?
You guys are completely identical.
All right. Now
Can-
welcome
Great.
my brother and the soy boy Scott. There he
Scott,
is.
Soy Boy
Woo!
Scott. Oh, that's too much alliteration. It's gonna stick.
Soy boy Scott. There you go.
Right.
I'm glad I can look at you guys now.
Yeah. How do you feel about
We're
it?
glad you
I'll
can look
just-
at us
I'll just
too.
walk
Bill,
around.
Bill,
Oh,
Bill, do
hey
you want to
John.
sit over here?
Hey John.
Oh.
What about Enoch?
Oh my God.
Chaos.
Just as I just want to say, as somebody that
Here, take a cat.
Oh my God.
I was told, early on in the internet career that cats are the thing that really get a lot of viewership. So I said, Bill, you got to bring over as many, please bring over as many
Bring over
cats as
as
you
many.
can.
You have to do a commercial break holding a cat.
All right,
This
like,
will be the
give
best
me-
thing
give
for
me
your
Enoch.
Get
sponsors.
us frisky sponsorship.
All right, hold on, we will.
Yay! Yeah, that's not a bad
Right?
call.
I know. Yeah, you just jump away.
Can you do me a favor? Can you close my bedroom door?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna eat Pigsley.
Oh my
Oh
god.
no! Pigsley's my
Oh
favorite.
god, that's actually like something that really could happen.
I
Oh
saw the
my
way
God.
Pigsley handled Beatrice the other day. I think it would be a pretty fair fight.
Pigsley is. All right, let's talk about Pigsley. He
Did
is.
Pigsley beat up Beatrice?
What, he beat her up? What?
He
That's what I
could.
heard.
Like he put up his little like guinea pig fist. And was
I-
like,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I kid you not. He actually bit Beatrice, and he got her like to jump away from him because she is so. Pigsley is so tough. Pigsley does not back down from a fight.
Yeah.
He says, "This is my territory, and I won't back down."
yeah, he's a tough motherfucker, yo.
Yeah.
Guinea pigs are extremely violently territorial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
no
Pigsley,
joke, considering he's been putting his fucking fists up.
Pigsley has a few.
Adorable.
Yeah. He has a few characteristics. One of them is being a complete spoiled brat. The other is being very territorial. So if anybody goes in his space, he gets very angry.
In his 1 by 1 foot space.
No, I built a little thing for him. He's got a whole,
Oh,
yeah, he's got a whole little
I haven't
area.
seen the thing.
Yeah. So Scott, tell us about. You want to talk about BuzzFeed? Want to talk about working there?
I don't know because I don't know what I can really say about
Just like
BuzzFeed.
explain about like I don't know what you do. What like.
I work in the news studio, so I'm not on the news team, but I broadcast a show. That
What are you
goes
doing
out
over
in the
there?
news.
Trying to adjust it.
All I hear is tapping in my ears. I'm like,
Sorry.
That microphone is hot. Okay.
Sorry.
Hook up
What
the
do you-
camera. There's a good crotch shot taking place right there.
Oh, is there?
No, but it's
No, it's
angled
not.
to be
Oh, I
balls.
see, if the camera
Perfect.
all right. So Scott,
Yes, BuzzFeed.
Sorry.
So
James.
I work in the news studio, and we produce a morning show and a couple other shows through BuzzFeed and through Facebook and through Twitter. They a lot of them air on Twitter. Most of them air on Twitter.
Cool.
And it's a good environment to be in. BuzzFeed treats their employees very well.
do they treat you really well?
I'm kind of an employee, so I'm by association.
But you freelance.
treated
Okay, you
well.
freelance.
I'm freelance, but I'm eating the lunches,
All
which are
right.
technically not available to freelancers.
Wow.
But unless
Oh,
someone
he's throwing it
listens
out
to this
there.
podcast,
Oh.
they're gonna.
But are they stopping you from
How
doing it
many
when you
viewers
go?
do you have, James?
Son, you're
Is
doing
this
40-hour
spreading?
work weeks. You're basically
it might be
a-
spreading.
like an actual BuzzFeed employee.
I got invited to the holiday party, and I went to the holiday party, which was a
Was it
fucking
sick?
rager. Yeah, it was
Hey.
insane.
Well,
It
hold on.
was
All right.
insane.
Take us through it. Walk us through the event. We want to like give me. Pretend we're playing. We're playing Once Upon a Time. Imagine. Tell us from the eyes of Scott. Go to this party and what happens.
The holiday party.
Yeah, the holiday
Okay,
party.
So, we had work the day of. I don't remember what it was on a Wednesday, which it seems to be a common theme with people's company parties. They have them on weekdays. My theory is that they don't want people to get too fucked up that they feel ashamed to come to work the next day.
That's a good point.
Or they permanently ruin relationships.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But people still got super fucked up.
of course.
So I was kind of one of them, but not really. So we had work, and then I waited around, and I sat in a coffee shop until the party began because I wanted to get all caffeinated and stuff for party.
Obviously,
And,
if you're going to a party, you got to be caffeinated.
yeah. And it was at like an event space, and it was full of just insane, props and just everything that you could want at like a dope like club. It was like a club, and they had a crazy DJ and light show and a ton of food and free alcohol, and it was out of control.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I've never worked at like a company like that before, or a company in general. I was always doing like weird other jobs. So
How long was this shit?
for like 5 hours.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
I have to say that was absolutely riveting.
I'm blown away. Blown away.
I mean, it's hard to. It's nothing in particularly like nothing crazy happened
All right,
necessarily.
Scott, how many
but-
times have we played Once Upon a Time?
How many times have we played Once Upon a Time? I'm good at Once Upon a Time. You're acting me to relive a party. That's
Build the suspense. I walked in. The smell of alcohol was all around me.
I
Build
mean,
the
it was-
suspense, dude.
Realistically, it was pretty uneventful. I just hung out with my friends from work and we got drunk and
We need to
danced,
end this.
and, yeah. that's-
This hammering is in the background. Guys, this has been real. It's been a little bit of chaos. I want to do this again.
Is the hammering?
The hammering is
that's
very much
the
in the
makings of a
podcast.
terrible audio
yeah.
experience.
So
We're literally under construction. Like,
Guys, thank you so much for coming. This was a lot of fun, though. I will talk to you all in the future. We are going to have the gang back again. Hopefully it'll be a little less chaotic, maybe less construction, maybe fewer cats. I want more cats, but maybe fewer
You
cats.
should go for more chaos.
Maybe,
Just less
maybe more
construction.
chaos.
Yeah.
More chaos. Chaos, is
Chaos
generally
that
good.
not seeping into the microphone.
Can I just mention one thing? As soon as Clam sat down on that couch, he instantly plunged us into chaos by tapping on this microphone and shifting that camera.
Yeah.
It shifted again? Oh my god. I think that was the cats, to be
So-
honest, because they're
No, it's
roaming
okay.
over
No,
there.
it was you.
No, it's definitely you.
Alright, it was me.
All right.
I'll take the fall.
You live in chaos. You're pure chaos.
Oh shit.
On that note, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for chatting with us about absolute nonsense. Hope you learned a little bit about Siamese twins. Later, everybody. Later, everybody. Later, everybody.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out. We'll be back next Saturday with some absolute nonsense again. Take care, everyone. Boom.
You guys got a magic bullet?
Next week. Wait, are we still on?